Breaking news! The atmosphere behind the scenes in Philadelphia is getting intense, and there are some very important developments involving Jalen Hurts that Eagles fans need to understand right now. What's happening is not random, it's not accidental, and it might be one of the clearest signals we've seen from this organization in years about the future of their franchise quarterback. And before I go deeper into this, make sure you've already hit the like button if you've been an Eagles fan for more than 20 years. It's always great to see fans from every generation showing love. And if you can, drop a comment saying, "Go Eagles, my heart bleeds green." Now let's get straight into it, because the timing of everything that's coming out right now is extremely telling. All of these reports about Jalen Hurts surfaced during the NFL owners' meetings in Arizona. And that is not a coincidence. Think about who is present at these meetings: general managers, head coaches, team owners, and most importantly, media members with direct access to people inside the organization. This is when information flows, and in this case, it feels calculated. We're talking about reports coming from highly credible journalists like Tim McManus and Jeff McLean, guys who have covered this team for years, not content creators chasing clicks. These are insiders with real sources inside the building. And according to what's being reported, multiple voices within the Eagles organization are behind this information. That matters, because it tells you this isn't just noise. This is messaging. And the big question is, what message are the Eagles trying to send to Jalen Hurts? Because on one hand, let's be very clear, this organization respects Hurts. They know what he has accomplished. Since becoming the starter in 2021, he's led the team to the playoffs every single year, delivered 4 straight double-digit win seasons, helped the Eagles go back-to-back as NFC East champions, and even reached 2 Super Bowls, outperforming Patrick Mahomes in both appearances and winning Super Bowl MVP. That's elite production, no matter how you look at it. But on the other hand, there's growing concern, especially about the passing game over the last 2 seasons. The numbers and the eye test haven't matched what you expect from a top-tier quarterback, particularly considering the talent around him. Yes, the Eagles leaned heavily on the run game, especially with Saquon Barkley having a historic season, and that naturally limited passing volume. But internally, that's not being used as a full excuse. There were real frustrations late in the season. Reports indicated tension between Jalen Hurts and former offensive coordinator Kellen Moore, with disagreements over how the passing game should be executed. And this is where things start to get serious, because one of the concerns emerging from inside the building is that Hurts has, at times, been resistant to coaching. Now, let's be fair. If a quarterback is playing at an elite level and pushing back on coaching, that can sometimes be tolerated. But when performance is inconsistent, that resistance becomes a problem. And heading into 2026, the Eagles are making major changes offensively. We're talking about a new scheme, new play caller, new coaching dynamics. This is not a small adjustment. This is a full offensive reset in terms of philosophy. And the message from the organization is becoming very clear. Jalen Hurts has to adapt. He has to embrace these changes. He has to step outside of his comfort zone. Because if he doesn't, the Eagles are prepared to make a difficult decision. There's also a major financial layer to all of this. The 2026 season is the last year of Hurts's contract that is fully guaranteed. That gives the Eagles flexibility. If he performs at a high level, he likely earns a new deal and continues as the franchise quarterback. But if he struggles again, especially in the passing game, this team could seriously consider moving on. And if you think that sounds extreme, just look at the history of this franchise. Carson Wentz was nearly an MVP in 2017, got a massive contract, and was traded just a few years later. Doug Peterson won a Super Bowl and was gone not long after. This organization does not hesitate to make bold decisions when they feel it's necessary. Even owner Jeffrey Lurie, who has been one of Hurts's biggest supporters, made some very interesting comments. He praised Hurts's dedication, leadership, and character, calling him exceptional and a true winner. But when it came to contract discussions, he made it clear, the team is not even thinking about a new deal right now. That speaks volumes. And according to Jeff McLean's report, the Eagles have no plans to extend Hurts this offseason, despite the fact that many teams restructure contracts with franchise quarterbacks to create cap flexibility. Why? Because, internally, they believe he hasn't earned that extension yet. There are also strong statements coming from inside the building about production. One source essentially said that being near the bottom of the league in passing, with this level of talent, is simply not acceptable. That's not a small critique. That's a direct challenge. At the same time, it's important to recognize that Hurts is still highly respected as a person and leader. He's seen as a model citizen, a coach's son, someone with the right temperament for Philadelphia, and a player who represents the organization the right way. But in the NFL, character alone is not enough. Production, especially at the quarterback position, is everything. So now everything points to 2026 being a true turning point, a make-or-break year. The Eagles are essentially saying, "We believe in you, but now you have to prove it again, under new conditions, in a new system, with higher expectations." And that brings us to the big question every Eagles fan should be thinking about right now. Do you believe Jalen Hurts will rise to this challenge and prove he's still the long-term answer in Philadelphia? Or are we witnessing the beginning of a possible transition at quarterback? And this is where things get even more intense, because when you connect all the dots, it really feels like the Eagles are setting the stage for a defining moment in Jalen Hurts' career. This isn't just about improving stats or having a slightly better passing season. This is about proving that he can evolve as a quarterback in a system that might not fully cater to his preferences anymore. Because let's be honest, what we're seeing from inside the organization is a shift in expectations. The Eagles are no longer just satisfied with winning games primarily through the run or relying on situational passing success. They want a more complete offensive identity, and that requires Hurts to elevate his performance from the pocket, read defenses more consistently, and execute at a higher level against both zone and man coverage, something that has been questioned internally. And when you hear that the cat's out of the bag regarding some of his baggage, that tells you this is no longer just internal coaching points being discussed behind closed doors. This is now part of a broader narrative, one that could influence how the front office approaches the future. The pressure is no longer subtle, it's very public now. At the same time, you can also look at this from a motivational perspective. Maybe the Eagles believe that putting this kind of pressure on Hurts will bring out the best in him. Maybe they've seen how he responds to adversity in the past and are betting that he'll rise again. After all, this is a quarterback who has already proven doubters wrong multiple times throughout his career. But the difference now is the margin for error is much smaller. The contract situation, the new offensive system, the internal expectations, and even the potential of a strong upcoming quarterback draft class are all factors working together to create a scenario where the Eagles are keeping their options open. And that's what makes this situation so fascinating and honestly a little bit uncomfortable if you're a fan. Because you're talking about a player who has already taken this team to the highest level, who has delivered big moments, who represents the city the right way. And yet, he's still being challenged in a very direct and calculated manner. So now it all comes down to what happens next. How does Jalen Hurts respond to a new scheme? How does he handle a system that demands more from him as a passer? And maybe most importantly, how does he react to knowing that the organization is watching every detail of his performance with long-term implications in mind? Because one thing is clear, The Eagles are not closing any doors right now. They are giving Hurts the opportunity to prove he's the guy. But they're also preparing themselves in case he isn't. Now, I want to hear from you, Eagles fans. If Hurts has a strong 2026 season, but not an elite one, do you still commit to him long-term? Or do you think the Eagles should seriously consider looking for the next quarterback? And don't forget to subscribe, leave your like, and click on the video that's on your screen right now, because all the latest Eagles news, you're only going to find it right here. Go Eagles!